Hey, this is Annette from Southwind Designs, and I'm showing how to stitch your binding down after you've sewn it to one side and you flip it to the other side. I have some new students that we don't have class right now, so I thought I'd show how I do this little process. So I like to use these little clips. I think these ones are hair clips, but there's like any kind of little clips to just kind of make it easier to hold things. And then if you see this line here, that's my original stitching line. And I really do want to cover this up. I cut my bindings tight, 2 inches. And when you sew the 2-inch double folded binding on one side, you can flip it over and you should just be able to come over that original stitching line. I've already started here, so I'm just going to move along and show you how I do the actual stitching. So single thread, and you see I'm coming up here just a little bite on the binding itself, and then I'm going to go right where that thread comes out. I'm going to go right in there into the quilt, and I'm going to travel in the batting about 1/4 inch or less. This is not really applique, so your stitches don't have to be super tight. And I'm coming out on the binding again, and so I'm stitching about 1/4 inches. And the same time that I'm doing the stitching, I have one of my fingers underneath to kind of feel what's going on the other side. If I feel something like the needle, sometimes you can actually feel the needle not pricking you, but you can feel it gliding underneath, then you know that that thread's going to show up on the other side. And I don't really like to have any stitches on the front side. So then I usually, if that happens and I haven't caught it, I take out a couple stitches and I do it again. So you see, you can kind of get into a rhythm and travel inside the batting, on the binding, off the binding, through the back layer of the quilt, and travel through the batting, come out, little bite on the fold of the binding, and just kind of keep going. So I remember last time one of my students had asked me about how I knot off, so I'm going to show that too. So I'm going to travel into this area that's going to be covered, and I kind of pull it tight, and I make a little loop and pull my needle through. You can do that twice, but usually since you're coming back to that area, it's going to stay. And then I just kind of come on through here and I clip it tight, and that's that. So to start a new thread, don't make your thread too long, because that ends up being tangled, and then you're actually going to spend more time, not less time. So when you thread the needle, you actually put the needle over the thread. That's an easier way to do it. And to do a quilter's knot, or the knot that I'm doing, I hold the thread tail parallel to the needle, 1, 2, 3, 4. Sometimes I wrap a little more depending on how thin the thread is, and I hang on to the needle and hold where the wrapped part is, and I very slowly push it through all the way, and there is your knot. Can you see it? Okay, so once you have that knot, I go between the layers and I come out somewhere in front of where I was before, and then I actually go back a little ways to catch that first little bit of the binding, and keep on doing it as I was before. You're on the binding, you're getting into the backing of your quilt, travel through the batting, come back out just on the fold of the binding, being sure to cover that initial seam stitching line from when you applied your binding. Well, see, and that's what happens sometimes. You get a knot, and just carefully pull on one end. If you're lucky, it pulls out. If not, you have to clip and start over. So I hope you learned something from this, and there we go. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and I'll be happy to answer them as soon as I get them. Have a great day.